Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. I am doing this assignment for my class EDU 722 with Dr. David Scanga for St. Leo University, which is my undergraduate alma mater, my master's degree alma mater, and hopefully my doctoral degree alma mater. Let's knock on wood. But I wanted to give a preference that I'm doing a screenshot, and these are not or this is not a perfect technology. Sometimes there's a glitch here and there that's not working right. For instance, this opening, which I have to go to Keynote and hit play for it to really work. But yes, this is my introductory page as per APA. And for those of you who can't read the bottom down here, it says Community and School Partnership Study, Peter James Smith, EDU 722, St. Leo University, Dr. Scanga, September 15th, 2020, so you don't have to get your magnifying glass out. I just couldn't figure out how to make it bigger because it was giving me every problem. But if technology was perfect, it wouldn't have to be improved upon, would it? So anyway, let me go now to photos. Oh, wait, here, let me escape from there. Like I said, it shows you everything that's on the screen. So when I switch between things, you're going to see things that are on the screen that really don't belong. Now, I wanted to introduce you to some of the cast of characters that we're going to be meeting and talking about. This is Dr. Trian Parlapanides, who's our Superintendent of Schools, and he brings forth the four things that we're going to talk about, which I'll talk about in a minute exactly what they're going to be. So there's Dr. P, and then I have to escape, I guess. And then here's Mayor Dr. Tony Vaz. Wait, click on him. Yeah, a little bit small, but and I was there when he made this commercial with my friend Joe Verderosa. But Mayor Vaz is an EDD, and he was a former superintendent of schools, and he is our mayor. And he is someone I interviewed for the screencast for the study that we're working on. Once again, escape. This is gentleman here, sorry if the picture's kind of small, is Kevin O'Shea, who was our business administrator in the Seaside Heights School District and the money man. And I spoke to him and interviewed him about the topics, and you'll hear what he has to say, amongst others. And then here is Senora Sandra Nolan. Why is she not coming up? Senora Nolan is our ESL teacher, and she had been our Spanish teacher, but Melissa took over that job. Her name is escaping me, and now Sandra teaches ESL all day. And please forgive our beautiful library. This is Mrs. Thompson here, who's in the same room. But this is the back room of our library, which is incidentally called the Peter James Smith Learning Lab. And it's a little bit of a hot mess right now, but the whole situation is not like perfect right now. So I told Mrs. Nolan, don't worry about how it looks. You know, we don't have everything together yet. And she said she's happy they brought her desk from her old classroom so she could have her same desk. But she is one of the people we talked to again. And then, of course, there's Mrs. Pesci, Louise Pesci. Where are they? Yeah, and that's Mrs. Pesci and I at a graduation like 2 years ago. And Mrs. Pesci is an M.Ed. She works for Creative Happenings, which is a vendor to Seaside Heights, and she works as a supervisor in the school in that capacity once or twice a week. But she is one of my very good friends and my go-to person for many things, and Louise is much appreciated and part of our story here. Let me go to pictures again, and then this way oh, of course it didn't work. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. And this is Walter K., who I will not butcher his last name. And of course, this is Denise Pavone Wilson, who is our principal secretary. She's out there. Walter is seen here giving out the laptops that we have given out to the students. And I think if I go to the next picture, if I'm not mistaken, oh yes, you absolutely can. You can see the Chromebooks. Double click. You can see the Chromebooks that Walter was handing out, and he keeps a database on who gets what, and it's a long story, but we'll get to Walter's story a little bit later in the presentation. And, oh, of course, here is Mr. Raichle, Christopher Raichle right here, our principal with Dr. P. Christopher Raichle is our building principal and a driving force behind a lot of these things, and he is interviewed, of course, in our thing. And when I talk about these people, I'll try to bring their pictures up so that you know what I'm talking about when the time is right. Now, of course, I'm working off of 2 devices, so please be patient with me, because one of the devices has the, and I've learned this to do this, I have the instructions and the rubric on one device, and I have the screenshot on another, so I can go through to make sure I'm not missing a point in any of the topics we're talking about inadvertently, because there's several things that we have to discuss, and then there's a rubric to make sure that we are discussing those things, and I want to make sure they are covered. I don't want to miss the, the boat here. So anyway, hit escape, and this should be it. If it's not, I'll be a monkey's uncle, which I probably already am. I think I have a monkey as my one of my nieces and nephews. I think I'm a monkey's uncle. I don't mean that in literal sense. I call them all monkeys. But anyway, study includes Board of Education, Borough of Seaside Heights Agreement over Recreational Land, the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program in collaboration with Donovan Catholic, which is our local Catholic high school not that far from us, the outreach program with native Spanish-speaking adults in the community, and the use of Board of Education laptops for students who work virtually. So those are the 4 things that we're going to be discussing, and in those things, the people that we met are going to be, I'm going to be giving you the quotes and things that they said about the various things that are going on. And let me move my other device to, to make sure I'm not missing anything. I have 2 laptops, a computer, and an iPad. Talk about instructional technology. Okay, so anyway, so let's go to thing number 1. And of course I have to escape, no perfect technology. And I want to show you that, well, this is the land in question, or one of the pieces of land in question, that's a recreational borough use property. It's the basketball court. Now, we'll get into just that in a little bit later, but they're taking away the hoops and the courts because Dr. Vaz doesn't want them. He feels that the basketball court at night is a mistake because people complain that there's potential drug sales and things down there. And then, of course, I have my notebook here, which is full of quotes from everybody about everything. It's just that, of course, they are not in perfect order, and I have to flip through them, which you'll hear, and you will hear about it. Now, in this case, he's an EDS, short of his dissertation, but Mr. Raichle says that the overall use of the basketball court and also the baseball field we have gives the kids the ability to exercise take a much needed break from their academics. And we lost our playgrounds when we built our additions on the school. We used to have them on campus. And using this property could be a gain potentially for the whole community, because we have talked to the borough, and although this is not written in stone, Dr. Parlapanides, had the idea of maybe putting a community pool here, and that was an original part of the school building's design, except we had to cut that due to budget cuts in the 60s. They eliminated that piece to get the school through. So then let's see who else talks about it. That was Mr. Raichel's take on that. And Kevin O'Shea, our business administrator, talked a little bit about the good agreement that we have with the borough regarding this land, because like I said, it's this and also the baseball field on the other side. We keep the landscaping up. We talked about the pool potentially, but that might go in a different spot. This is like spot B, and spot A might already have a vendor, so it may not come to reality. But whatever it is, we have that ability to do that, although it's pie in the sky right now. And so then, of course, let me go to somebody else. Of course, I have to switch pages in my notebook here because Dr. Voss says that the basketball court, he feels that there's drug negotiation going on there, or at least that's what he's heard from constituents and complaints. So he wants to get rid of the basketball court concept and make sure our custodian closes this area every night when we leave the building, maybe 10 o'clock at night, so that there's no disreputable people hanging out at the baseball field, at the basketball court late at night. And we could use it for soccer and for other things during the day, during the school day, because it is not deeded to the school. It's still borough property. It is just for us to use. We have an agreement with the borough, and that's what this is all about, community collaboration. And let's see if anybody else has anything to say about it. I interviewed several people, and Mrs. Nolan did not talk about that. And neither does Walt. Okay, so everyone's talked about it. Now let me go through the questions to make sure that I covered everything. The longevity of the partnership has been many years at least that we've been sharing these recreational units with the borough. Now there's two of them, one on either side of the school. And they're actually dredged land. The bay, which is across the street, was dredged in the 1950s, and they took the land and they put it on here. They made extra land, and they're all borough public uses. And one of them is this basketball court and the adjoining playground here, which does not look like a playground, but they're doing something to it, making it something different, maybe a bocce court that, of course, students would be able to use. And so that's going to even make our spread a little bit wider. And it's been going on for at least 10 years that we've had this agreement with the borough. And the goal and purpose is so that the students, like I said, would have a place to play outside, to burn off steam after a day of academia. The role of the school and the community partner is that the school uses the property, but the borough of Seaside Heights, who owns it, allows us to do so. If we did not have a good relationship with Mayor Vaz, we would not be able to, and of course the other council members, there's 6 of them, because they all work in tandem, we would not have the ability to use this property as we do. Oh, and just one other thing to show you, just another thing. This is a picture of our barrier peninsula, and you can see this is the bay that was dredged for the causeway, and then it gained all this land, and one of the buildings is the Hugh J. School, and right across from it is the 110 Bay Boulevard basketball court, and across the street is the baseball court, or what used to be the baseball court. We kind of did away with the baseball aspect. It wasn't a bad idea. It's just that people, it was so close to residential that people would hit a home run and they would break windows of the neighboring houses, costing the borough a lot of money. So they did away with that thing. But it's located 110 Bay Boulevard, and if you look at our little map here, it's right here on the Barrier Peninsula here in Seaside Heights. So I just wanted to share that. And then, hang on a minute, let me go up a little bit. Sorry, I have to read all the things to make sure I'm missing anything. And of course, it's giving me a glitch. Thank you very much. Wait, hold on a minute. And you know what? It always comes to pass that the minute I'm busy, it will give me a problem. Oh, the student reflection on the partnership and its values of the school. And I'm the student. And I'm also a board member. It has gained us so much to be able to have this extra room to play. If the teachers are not in the lunchroom, the children have an extra like 20 minutes to go outside and play, I can always find teachers outside to talk to, that I need to talk to gain research about this or that. Because that's generally, I have board permission to interview the teachers, discuss different things about the different topics that I'm learning about. For instance, I talked to Kevin, I talked to Dr. P, I talked to Chris Raichle. But anyway, they're outside, they're always there. And it's very valuable to the school to have this agreement with the borough. And if the borough said suddenly you can't use this property, I don't know where our students would play or burn off steam, because our whole campus, which is this part here, is filled with buildings. And we only have a little patch of land up front, which is our grass. And for sentimental reasons, we don't want to build on that, and certainly don't want to make that a playground. because of tradition. So anyway, that is that thing. Now I'm going to go to the next thing on the item here. Excuse me. And I have to go to the goals, which of course are probably not here. They're probably on pages. Oh no! Excuse me. Pardon me. They're here. Okay. The Big Brothers and Big Sisters collaboration with Donovan Catholic. Now I have to go to Chrome, and I have to go up here to Christian Service, Donovan Catholic. Now Donovan Catholic has been around for a long, long time. It's the biggest Catholic high school in Ocean County, and all the students have to perform Christian service, and it says here it's a component that every grade level they share their gifts in a service program, and they do many events for all the members of the school community and their commitment to Jesus and his message of peace, love, and service. Now, of course, there is this separation of church and state, but they don't come and really talk to the kids about Jesus. They just come and they are a big brother figure, parental figure that would otherwise not exist. And you have to do 10 hours in your freshman year and 20 hours in the subsequent years. Now, mind you, here are the service opportunities, and the first one is the Big Brother and Big Sister program in the Hugh J. Boyd Jr. Elementary School in Seaside Heights, doing positive role modelship. And it's interesting because my friend's son is a sophomore at Donovan Catholic, and I'm going to try to see if he'll do his thing at Seaside Heights. But, so anyway, that is one of the things that we do with another partnership in the community. And let me go back to answer the questions. Like I said, it's been around about 10 years that we've been doing this program. The goal and purpose is to have a big brother, big sister figure for these children who might not have an older sibling. And the children who come from Monsignor Donovan are generally really nice kids from nice families. So that also works. The school and the community partner. We partner with Monsignor Donovan. Monsignor Donovan is their old name. Donovan Catholics. People, we partner with them, and we've had this program going for a long time, and it's very successful, and the children who are young and the children who are old really like it, and we benefit a great deal because we have this relationship which performs a synergy between the two age groups, and I'll get to the student reflection in a minute. I just wanted to show you, hang on one second, I lost my place. See, that is another problem with screenshots because there's so much going around. But, of course I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about what everyone had to say about these things. Now, Kevin O'Shea, our business administrator, says the kids coming a couple days a week, participation in our students' lives is very important. So that's one person's opinion. And then Chris Raichle says that, once again, similar thing, our principal, they're great role models and social, and they provide a big sibling that would otherwise not exist. Not going backwards, going forwards. Not everybody talks about every topic because they don't know about every topic. Of course, Mrs. Pesci didn't talk about that. The mayor did not talk about the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. That's basically who talked about it because that's in their knowledge base. But my reflection, my student impression is that it's very similar to what Mr. O'Shea and what Mr. Raichle said. It is very positive to have these students. Like, they show up on a bus and they roll up 50 Donovan students at once, all in their Donovan uniforms, and they all have a child that they mentor, and they all, have a stated purpose, and it's part of their Christian service that they do, even though, of course, there's a separation clause in the Constitution. They don't talk about religion, they just talk about life in general. And it's very interesting, and this has been going on forever. So that is one of the things that we discuss. Now let's go down to photos. And then, of course, so we've talked about the agreement over the recreational land. We talked about the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. Now we're going to talk, and there's a little bit more to talk about this, the outreach program with the native Spanish-speaking adults in the community. Now, we need this program because we're about 60% native Spanish talkers in the community. A lot of the parents don't talk English. They're from Mexico, Latin America, or other Spanish-speaking areas of the world. And we really need them to be able to speak Spanish or English as well as Spanish. And in fact, my opinion, which I'm going ahead of myself, but why not? The student reflection is I think that every person in the community, cradle to grave, should be taught to read, write, speak English and Spanish, all of them, from birth to grave. It doesn't matter when you start, because the more people who speak both languages and are able to read them and write them in our community, that is a benefit for our community, because by 2019, it is said through my other studies in St. Leo that Spanish is going to be the most spoken language, even if it's not the language of the government, because America has no official language. The government might use English, but most of the people are going to be speaking Spanish, especially at home, because there's a lot of influx from Latin America here to the United States, and that's just the way it is. So let's go back and see what people have to say about this. Hang on a minute. Once again, my notebook is getting filled, and it's not perfect. But Mr. Raichle, our principal, says that Spanish-speaking have benefits for the ELL parents, that they can comprehend English and to a greater capacity, and it allows them to help the students with their homework, which is a big deal. And if they did not speak any English, we would not be able to communicate with them, and that's why we outreach to them. And Mrs. Nolan will tell us a little bit more about the history of it in a minute. So let's switch to her. Mr. O'Shea said that the ESL for parents, there's a few bucks in Title III for parent involvement and student for snacks. And I'd like to personally volunteer to do the outreach program virtually with a Spanish-speaking buddy or a bilingual buddy, but I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or not as a board member. But since it's parents and it's at night, there's a possibility I have to talk it over with Dr. P and get an opinion from New Jersey School Boards Association. But if we do it live, there's money for snacks and stuff. And if you don't have snacks for your thing, don't bother, because people want snacks. That was said in one of our discussion questions. And then let's see here, go to the next page of notes. Oh, Louise Pesci, who was our supervisor. She says that the Spanish adults, they need more outreach for community learning, another language. Too many people don't think that that's important, but what is important is not only teaching the adults that speak Spanish, English, but also to teach the teachers Spanish, at least some conversational Spanish. And Mrs. Pesci had a great idea, and I'm going to go down and show you what it was, is that teachers should know some common phrases in Spanish, and this was a good website that I found. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué pasa? How are you doing? ¿Cómo tú vas? How are you doing? And these different things, if the children are approached, especially the ones who, are fresh from their native countries and don't know any English, it would be nice that the teachers knew a handful of Spanish, even if we had a cheat sheet that was laminated off of this thing, on the teacher's desk, that they could speak a little Spanish to them and make them feel more warm and welcome to the community here. And of course, it has this is 97 phrases that you should know, and this was something that Mrs. Pesci said she thought was a good idea, and I looked it up, and that was it. And then, okay, so she also said that most of the children who come like that straight over from their native country, they're scared to death, and it's a break the ice thing. They'll be more willing to to talk to each other. And of course, we talk about culturally responsive education, where we should know something about every culture that the students, and she thinks that once a year we should have an international day where we devote talking about our cultures, inviting grandparents, having food, having the children wear native costumes from their home country, and basically, do these things because it's very important. And then, let's see, other persons that would talk about it. And I believe the other person would be Mrs. Nolan. And sure enough, here's Mrs. Nolan's quote. And she said, the history of the program, it started with Mrs. McCarrick, Dr. McCarrick, who was our former principal at one time. And the parents would come and they would drop off the kids, and they would spend their first period every day with Mrs. Nolan, and they would learn valuable English phrases that would work well. And it did well, but for some reason we did away with it. We brought it back about a year ago when I was doing dual language immersion, which is one of my studies here at St. Leo. And the computers were a benefit in the second go around because we could use Google Translate, and it's very important because once you speak, Mrs. Nolan said, if you speak to someone in their native language, you speak to their heart. And every year when I do my my speech at the graduation, I always include the words in Spanish as much as I can, and the people are always grateful that I do that. So, so just let me go through the list here to make sure I didn't miss anything. And of course, it's giving me that business here, but here we go. We describe the partnership and what the goal of the partnership and the role in the community and the benefits. And my reflection, I said ahead of time. So that's that. But I also want to show you, this is a powerful website called Color in Colorado, and it talks about learning from home. And I won't read you the whole thing. The link is right there. And it says, but all parents can be helpful in their children's literacy development, regardless of their level of English, because parents who speak little or no English can continue their children's education in valuable ways. They can learn from each other the things in English. And it just goes on here, how they can do it, even if they only speak Spanish, they can storytell, they can use wordless picture books, they can sing songs, they could engage in meaningful conversation with bilingual people, and we have many bilingual staff, and they can make frequent trips to the library, they can watch educational children's programming together, and it just goes on and on. But let me just highlight here. Hope this works. Probably won't because that's my luck, but hold on a second. I'm going to just simply make file new, a new page, and I'm going to bring that URL up so that we can read it, so that you can go. Of course, that was a problem. Oh, here we go. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger so us at home can look at it. And, of course I made it lower, not bigger. But here, this is the website that you can go to that talks about the ELL families at home. And it's a very interesting article. Color in Colorado has so much information about dual language immersion and Spanish-speaking situations in a school that basically speaks English. And it speaks to me, and it speaks to the situation that is in our community, where we have a switch of English and Spanish, but it could change tomorrow. We could have a large Mandarin influx or a large Hindi influx, and we would have to learn that language. But so what? It doesn't matter. So anyways, let me get rid of that. Delete. All right, and of course we don't need this. Now we have to go back to photo. Told you, no perfect technology. The use of the Board of Education laptops for students who work virtually. Now, let me go to photos again. Actually, I just said escape. And I'll go back to Walter K. Don't want to mess up his name. Walter K. is married to Kim Bell. And when they got married, I said to Kim Bell, I said, you should use Miss Bell, Mrs. K, Don't have them, no, because no one's going to be able to read Walter's long name and not mess it up. But Walter is a very intelligent person who I often suggest should go get his advanced degree. He's a math major in his BA and is very brilliant. And I always, want him to go further because he's so intelligent. And so far, he's been filling in different ways at the school where I know he'll be a success in the future. But Walter told me about the computers. He said giving the lending the Chromebooks is going pretty well. He keeps a spreadsheet of who we gave them to. He makes them sign a form because we don't want the parents selling these computers or losing them, even though they're not worth much. In fact, there's a $75,000 grant that we have as part of another thing to do with COVID, and I'm often talking to the senior administration about using that money to buy new stuff because I think these Chromebooks are outdated. But so we're really giving an outdated Chromebook to the people who work virtually so that there's a divide, there's a bridge the digital gap, and that's very important. And let me see what, go back to my list here to make sure if I'm not missing anything. This has been going on just since the beginning of this school year. The goal is so the students have a device that works. It's a community partnership with the parents and the school district so that they have this thing. The only thing that we can't guarantee, and maybe we should work on, is definitely internet access for them, but they will somehow they either have it at home or they can find a place where they can use it. And my reflection is that if we give my whole dissertation topic that I'm thinking about doing is the haves versus the have-nots, and the have-nots do not have proper devices, or internet access versus kids who have everything, and how do we bridge that gap? And that's why I included this, because I thought it was just so interesting and timely. And so anyway, let me hit escape and see if I missed anything, which I don't think so. Here's the rubric. Hang on a minute. And I just wanted to discuss. So I included a detailed description of the partnerships, goals, and objectives of them, how the partnerships furthers the school missions and visions and values, and some anecdotal information that describes the outcomes of the partnership. I described the role of the school partners advisory committee because the people we talked about are the people who I deal with: Dr. Vaz, Dr. Parlapanides, Principal Raichle, Sandra Nolan, Walter. All those people have a role. I did 4 examples of the diversity of families and students that are recognized and addressed. And now I have to talk about the core value, of course, have to. Now, let me just go off to, in fact, I'm going to open it a little bit further. Hang on one second. Of course, me has to have a graphic. That's the teacher in me. So I'm going back here. I'm going to put in St. Leo core values because they are based on the Benedictine tradition and they've been around since the beginning of time at St. Leo. So here's the mission statement and core values. And our core value is community. But of course, we've talked ad nauseum about community. But let's talk about some of the other ones that could apply. Excellence. We want excellence in our laptops that we hand out so that everyone can use them. We want that in our basketball field, our basketball court sharing, and in all the other topics. Respect means that we talk to everybody in the community and we respect everyone's needs and wishes and try to do it. And I think one of the other ones that's important is responsible stewardship, which is our Creator blesses us with an abundance of resources, and we employ those resources for the university and community development. So they all go together. So I just wanted to add the core value and multiple core values into the screencast so that it is workable. Now, then, of course, I have to go back to photos. Now, it took me all day to gain these things. No, not photos, that's whatever. It took me all day to put these things together so that they work correctly together, but of course it wasn't. It has to be Keynote. And in Keynote, go here, I want to play. This is our reference list, and this is Hugh J. Boyd School. I picked this picture on purpose because this is in the 70s, I think. And why isn't it letting me use an arrow? Oh, it's not letting me. But hang on one second. Let me go to this. Oh, here it is. This little boy here in the red shirt, that is Peter Smith, thank you very much, who was in first grade at that time. So anyway, in the reference list, which is next, we talk about the different references that we use. Color in Colorado, Donovan Catholic's website, Google Earth, which provided us the pictures of the basketball court. And then, of course, the personal communications with the different people we talked to. Walter, and look at his last name. No wonder I don't try to say it. I just call him Walter K. Sandra Nolan, our ESL teacher. Dr. P, our Superintendent of Schools. Mrs. Pesci, our vendor that supplies us supervision. Chris Raichle, who's our principal. And, of course, Dr. Vaz, our mayor and EDD. So then, of course, the last thing I want to put on my thing, which I go back to pictures, and I think I already showed it, but it doesn't matter. I already talked about it because it's supposed to come at the end, is our rubric. And this is the rubric, and I feel that I went, above and beyond at least to gain the information that was requested for the program. And I really wanted to thank Dr. Scanga for allowing me to do it in this particular creative way versus a boring old APA paper, which we always do. And I could do like the back of my hand, but they're boring, probably boring for him to read. And I really can't share them with the other students in the class and or the people that I talk about in the screenshot. But anyway, I thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and I hope that you learned something from it and a little bit about our community partnerships here in Seaside Heights, and these are just a few. There are others we could think of. But I hope everyone has a fabulous day, and we will see you next screencast. Have a great day.